if more of our customers would even open the book or the DVDs they ordered. In all seriousness, we can all start the reset immediately by changing our tone and verbiage with our clients. We can begin telling them directly that we only want serious students and that we expect them to take action. Sometimes just having someone tell us that we can raise our standards can be an impetus to actually change. We can instill the desire and challenge with them without being drill sergeants. All we have to do is be greater inspirations and enable our customers with more tools, goals, and follow-up communications. We can say things like the following, and not do it for marketing, but do it because it's true. Look, if you're like many of us, there are too few people in your life who are holding you to an elevated standard of excellence. People want to protect you and keep you safe, and they make it okay not to push yourself further and harder. But our paths have intersected because you believe you are capable of more, much more, and you are looking for new ways to reach your highest potential in this area. So let's make a deal, you and I. If you're a person who genuinely wants to succeed at this, and you're truly willing to implement what I teach, then let's begin. But our industry is full enough of tire kickers and fly-by-night gurus who just sell and run. So let's make a deal. You implement this stuff, and I will follow up with you with a reminder series from our system. We need more doers, and if that's you, then let's begin. But if you feel like just trying my stuff out and dabbling in this area, then perhaps you should browse my blog, but not become a dedicated student. I'm setting high standards for my students, and I expect you to have a high standard if you become one. Perhaps that's kind of hokey what I just said there, and not the best argument or marketing strategy. It's easier to say, hey, just buy my stuff and we'll see if it fits you. But I feel it's important that our programs inspire people to set a high standard and implement our ideas. I feel change often happens when we communicate differently to the marketplace, so this is an easy area to make a change. Personally, I do my best to give my clients a very hard time if they don't do what they said they would, but I do it in an honoring way. I hold high expectations for them and for myself. I try to give my customers the checklists, samples, and resources needed to take action. I can do better at this, though. I think we all can. Today's the day. We must all begin. A tribute. I'm keenly aware that in writing a chapter and speaking to you now, that I run the risk of sounding negative and overly judgmental about our expert community. I will likely be harpooned on a few blogs for being too audacious or big-headed in making these assertions. My goal here, though, was not to be negative or come across as flippant. I know I'm just a bit player on the historical stage of this industry, and I didn't write this chapter for self-aggrandizement or to point fingers. My goal was to take full advantage of this platform to help you lead this industry. And to lead, we all must be transparent about where we are and how we can improve. Until we point out what's not working, we cannot fully serve our customers or advance our careers or community. With that said, there's a lot that is right in our industry. Our work changes people's lives for the better, and that is extraordinary. Our community is the most creative, brilliant, thoughtful, and caring of any that I've witnessed. I would happily challenge anyone to find another industry that has helped as many people live fuller, richer, happier, and more meaningful lives than ours has. I hope that you sense my joy, appreciation, and excitement for having the opportunity to have a career as an expert. This industry radically changed my life, and it's changed millions of lives before me. Now it's time to continue the good work of those who came before us and at the same time elevate our industry to the next level. I hope you will join us. Chapter 10, Trusting Your Voice. We've come a long way. If I've successfully fulfilled the expert mission, then I hope you felt inspired and instructed on how you can improve your life. You can make a difference and an income with what you know. Your advice and your life experience are more valuable than you've ever imagined. You can have a real career as an entrepreneurial expert if you simply position, package, promote, and partner with others to get your message out there. You can do this. Now is your time. When you begin reaching millions of people and making millions of dollars, then you will become a true millionaire messenger. Even if you never reach that level, sharing your message with any size audience will always be a meaningful act and a true path to purpose and fulfillment in life. There is meaning in mentoring others and satisfaction in serving. If you've listened this far, then you know more about this career and industry than I did when I began. I've earned millions of dollars with these concepts and helped millions of people. I'm so excited to hear what you do with it all. You have a great foundation and you have a large head start on the next generation of gurus. In fact, you probably know more now than most experts who are practicing today, because until now, few people have shared their best practices. If you run into up-and-coming or struggling experts on your exciting new journey, please give them this book or lend them a helping hand. We all need to help and honor our fellow messengers. I don't know why you are hearing my words at this moment in your life, but I feel honored that our paths have crossed and that I've been able to share with you what I've learned. I'm still learning. Experts are always students first. Still, it's been a great joy writing this book for you and our community. After working with tens of thousands of experts and advice gurus worldwide, I do have one strong assumption about why you are listening to me now and why you found my message at this point in your life. I believe you are here because deep within you, there's been a restless stirring to share your voice with the world in a bigger way. Perhaps you picked up this book because you decided to share your life story and experience with others for the very first time. Or perhaps you've already been sharing your message and you were looking for new ideas and strategies for amplifying it more loudly, broadly, and profitably. Regardless, I believe the fact that you are here has something profound to do with your voice in this world. And if that's true, I'd like to share one more story before saying goodbye. About Sarah. Sarah was my student, but ended up being my teacher. When I was in graduate school, I had the opportunity to teach a few classes in public speaking. I was bubbling over with excitement about being in a position to lift up and educate students. I put my full effort into all my classes, reinventing ways public speaking had been taught and teaching with every ounce of passion I had. I was new to teaching, and in hindsight, I had no idea what I was doing. Still, I gave all the time, and I felt I was deeply involved in something that was a meaningful experience. But as often happens with new teachers, toward the end of my first year, I became worn out. I had taken on a lot that semester, and suddenly I didn't feel like I was making a difference anymore. And then I met a shy, reserved, withdrawn student named Sarah. At the beginning of the semester, Sarah didn't seem like a troubled student. She was at every class and on time, but soon she was in trouble. She skipped her first 2 speeches. She just didn't show up on her assigned days. This alone guaranteed her failure in the course. And yet, even after missing those 2 crucial days, she showed up on time every day for class. I kept trying to chat with her after class, but so many other students would come up to me and ask questions that Sarah always seemed to slip quietly out of the classroom before I could speak to her. 3 weeks before finals, I posted the speaking assignments for this class, listing who would speak on which day. Sarah's name was not on the list. She had never given a speech and had already failed the class, so I didn't include her. A few days later, as I was helping another student during my office hours, I saw Sarah enter the office, looking rather sheepish. She chewed her nails and kicked her feet the entire time she waited for me to finish with the other student. When at last we spoke, she surprised me with an immediate request. "Brendan, I want to give my final speech." I was shocked. Not understanding her intentions, and worse yet, forgetting to be encouraging, I said, "Why would you want to give that speech? You do understand you failed this course, don't you?" She said, "I know I messed up, but I've come to class every day because you inspire me. And I knew if I kept coming, you might help me actually get up there in front of the class. I think I'm ready. I want to try this now, Brendan. You've led me this far. Please don't lose faith now. I want to do this for you in the class. I have to do this for me." When she said that I'd inspired her and led her, something deep inside me felt honored to have helped, and I pulled a copy of the speaking schedule out of my binder, put it on the desk, and wrote Sarah's name on the last day of speeches. She stared at her name on the schedule, and when she looked up, she had tears in her eyes. She uttered a muffled thank you and then shuffled out of the office. We spent the next day talking about what she wanted to accomplish and what I'd like to see her do. It would be a quick 2 weeks of preparation, but I told her I knew she could do it without ever having seen her speak publicly before. We met every other day. More than half the time was spent reassuring her that she could do it and coaching her to face her fears. When her faith stumbled, I did my best to pick her up with hope and encouragement. Whenever she ran out of faith, I repeated this quote from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. When you've come to the edge of all the light that you know and are about to step into the darkness of the unknown, faith is knowing one of two things will happen. There will be something solid to stand on, or you will be taught to fly. I let Sarah know that if her words stumbled, she'd find another sentence to stand on, or somehow in that unbearable moment of uncertainty, she would be given the words to say. She would find her voice simply by activating her voice. After 2 weeks of personally coaching her, I honestly didn't know if she would show up on her speech day, but she did. When she approached the podium, nearly half the class turned to me with questioning looks as if to say, "Is she really going to talk?" Sarah worked her way through about 10 minutes. During the middle of her speech, she seemed to lose her words for a few seconds. By the expression on her face, a painfully long time for her. She stood there in silence, terrified, eyes wide open like a deer caught in headlights. I wanted to cheer her on, but no words came out. I was scared as she was in that moment. Then one of her classmates encouraged softly, "You've got it, Sarah. It's okay." Her words didn't seem to reach Sarah. She was too detached and transfixed in her own fearful nightmare. But then others started echoing the encouragement. "You can do this, Sarah. Just keep talking, girl. You got this. Just talk, Sarah. We love you." At this, Sarah finally clicked her eyelids shut once or twice. She looked around the room like she'd just come out of a coma in disbelief to seeing all these loving visitors surrounding her. More people echoed the encouragement, and in an acute display of youthfulness, Sarah could be seen repeating their words of encouragement as she locked her eyes on the podium. The audience seemed to be sending a wave of enthusiasm and support towards her, and more than one student teared up. I did too. And then she spoke. She lifted her head, smiled, and thanked us, and continued. If I remember correctly, she was supposed to speak for 20 minutes. She sailed on for more than twice that length. I suppose she hadn't spoken her whole life. She had a lot to say. If I'd graded her formally, I imagine she would have gotten a C- for content, structure, and presentation. But as she finished, heart and heroism won the day, and the class responded with a resounding applause as though she had just given the most stirring speech in history. She smiled and walked sheepishly back to her desk. On her way, other students were still clapping, hooting, and giving her praise. A friend glowed and said with great pride, "You did it, Sarah!" And she then stood up and gave Sarah a hug. As Sarah went to sit down, everyone stood up. My class then gave her a standing ovation you would not believe. The feeling in the class was exuberant as the class ended, and many people walked past Sarah and praised her inspiring performance. As the last of the class filtered out of the classroom, and I was putting folders away in my bag, I caught Sarah out of the corner of my eye, standing alone in the doorway. Turning, I saw tears welling up in her eyes. What she said next were the most wonderful words I've heard in my life and reaffirmed to me why we help others. Struggling to hold back tears and overwhelming emotions she must have felt, Sarah whispered to me as she turned and left, "Thank you, Brendan. No one ever told me my voice was important. You're the only person who's ever told me I had any potential." Henry David Thoreau wrote, "The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation." I don't think that desperation is so quiet anymore. If you watch the news, engage in your community, and listen to your loved ones and neighbors, I bet you will hear a thunderous cry for help. People are desperately looking to share their unique voice with the world and to achieve their full potential. They are hungry for new ideas and strategies for improving their personal and professional lives. They are starving for guidance, and they are surprised beyond belief whenever someone offers them a kind word or a helping hand. You can be that surprise for your fellow human beings. That's what this message is all about. Almost a decade after Sarah walked out of my classroom, I returned to my alma mater to visit a friend. While in town, I ran into a few of my former students who happened to be part of that magical day. To my utter amazement and disbelief, not all of them remembered the moment with the level of joy and detail I did. In fact, two barely remembered it at all without me reminding them. Sharing her voice hadn't changed everyone's lives, though it had changed mine, and I guarantee it had changed Sarah's. This observation might sound like a downer or a poor way to end this story, but there are very meaningful lessons I hope to convey to you in sharing this. First, I return to that moment and want to impart this. While it may be scary for you to share your voice with the world, the audience is often more receptive, patient, and supportive than you ever imagined. For Sarah, sharing her voice was terrifying. She had to be coaxed and coached into expressing herself and her ideas publicly. It was a monumental effort for her, but to the rest of the world, it was not a big deal. The audience does not see your preparation, your research, your hard work, or your sweat in getting it right. They just admire and honor the fact that you shared your voice in the first place. Their support and appreciation is almost automatic because it's human nature to admire the heroic act of self-expression. You might relate to this. Armed with all the knowledge I've imparted in this book, the truth is that I know the final barrier to your sharing your message is fear. When it comes down to it, you may simply be afraid that no one will listen, but they will. Audiences always do. I can tell you with authority that audiences from around the world, whether they are reading you, listening to you, or watching you on video or on stage, have the same desire. They want value. And when you give them that, they will support you, follow you, buy from you, and honor you. You can take comfort in the fact that almost everywhere in the world, self-expression is seen as an act of art, if not heroism. When that act of self-expression is aimed at helping others, then it is viewed as an act of kindness and service. Trust me, people will admire and appreciate you for sharing your voice and your wisdom with others. Sarah's story also reminds me that no matter how hard we try, we will not always move everyone in our audience. Not everyone who stumbles upon our message will experience a lifelong transformation. Not everyone will get it. Not everyone will remember us years later. This, though, is only a reiteration of the phrase, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You will impact those who you are meant to. Trust in that. Although some of my students didn't remember that magical day Sarah spoke, it almost doesn't matter. People have horrible memories anyway. And what's important is that in the moment of her expression, she pulled through. And they did, in fact, admire and support her. For Sarah, it was a deeply meaningful experience. Imagine that moment in which a shy girl finally set her voice free and then got a standing ovation. It moved me too, and the entire class that day. One former student I ran into during my visit to my alma mater did remember. She said, "That day taught me that sharing our voice is brave. We can help people if we just speak up and share. I've tried to be brave ever since then." Personally, I still remember that day in class like it was yesterday. I'm still proud of Sarah, and I'm still honored to have been part of her story. I hope that in writing The Millionaire Messenger, I have become part of your story. I hope that you've been inspired to share your own voice and that you continue doing so for the rest of your life. On your journey to that end, I hope that, like Sarah, your message falls upon supportive ears. And I ask that as you see others out there, our fellow messengers in the heroic act of sharing and teaching, that you put your hands together for them. Cheer them on. Tell them their message and their mission is important. We all must celebrate those seeking to serve others with their advice and life experience. I believe that it's in the act of expressing who you are and what you know that you find yourself. Sharing your voice is important in your ability to grow as a human being, and it's important in your ability to contribute fully to society. Your soul lights up with meaning when you help others take one more step towards their goals. The only question now is whether you will care enough about your growth, contribution, and audience to overcome your fears. You are standing on the world stage every day and in every moment. Who will you show up as? Will you sound your voice? What will you say? How will you serve? Our world is in turmoil and transition. It's in turmoil because we are experiencing such rapid and demanding change in almost every facet of our lives. People around the world are unsure of how to cope with the changes they're experiencing in both their personal and professional lives. They don't know what to do, and they don't know where to turn for help. They feel lost amidst all the insanity, unsure of how to find their place or their potential. Their uncertainty has led to caution and pause that's preventing them from progress. The turmoil is amplified because it seems there are so few role models available to help people cope, understand, and get ahead. We're also experiencing a tremendous time of transition. An entire generation is realizing that there must be more to life than working themselves to death. Tens of millions are being laid off and retiring and looking for new opportunities. Everyone is looking to create more, give more, be more involved, grow more, and connect more. They're exploring their world more readily and free from the bonds of tradition. They're looking for new ideas for achieving their potential. They are hungry for guidance and inspiration. Indeed, never before have so many needed ideas and advice for the next stage of their lives, careers, and businesses. It's in these moments of turmoil and transition that experts shine. We have the opportunity to stand up, share our voice and expertise, and direct others to a greater future for themselves and for all of us. This is our time to lead and serve. Amidst all the fear and uncertainty in the world, we can be the light that guides the way. This is your time. Today is the day you choose to be a beacon of hope and help for others. Shine brightly, share your message, make a difference. I'll talk to you soon, expert.